You ever see someone mess with the wrong person and instantly regret it? That's exactly what happened when a group of popular girls decided to welcome the new black girl by kneeing her in the face during lunch. Everyone laughed, phones came out, and they thought they just embarrassed her forever. But what they didn't know, the quiet girl they just attacked wasn't ordinary at all, and the truth about who she really was would flip the entire school upside down. You ever walk into a room and instantly feel like you don't belong? That was Maya Johnson on her first morning at Lincoln High School. New town, new school, new faces staring at her like she'd walked into the wrong movie. Her mom had just gotten promoted, so they'd packed up and moved across the country for what her parents called a fresh start. But for Maya, it didn't feel like a fresh start. It felt like starting all over again from zero. She stood in front of the mirror that morning, tightening her ponytail, trying to talk herself into being confident. "Just one normal day," she whispered. "Blend in, stay quiet, finish senior year in peace." Simple plan. Except Lincoln High had its own rules, and no one told her what they were. From the moment she walked through those heavy front doors, she could feel it. Eyes followed her. Some curious, some judgmental, some straight up cold. The hallways were filled with clusters of kids laughing, scrolling on their phones, tossing books in lockers. But every time Maya passed, the noise seemed to lower just enough of the whispers to slip through. "Who's the new girl? She looks lost. Never seen her before." Maya tried to ignore it. She kept her head high, clutching her backpack strapped tight, pretending not to notice. By the time she reached her first class, her palms were already sweaty, but she forced a smile at the teacher and found an empty seat in the back. Things stayed quiet until lunch. Cafeteria, the true test of any new kid. Maya walked in with her tray, scanning for a friendly face. That's when she saw them. 3 girls sitting in the center table like it belonged to them. Brittany, Haley, and Lena. The popular trio. Loud, polished, and clearly used to being the center of attention. When Maya passed their table, Brittany's eyes locked on her like a hawk spotting prey. "Who does she think she is?" she muttered, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Maya kept walking, pretending not to hear, and sat alone at an empty corner table. But Brittany wasn't done watching. And before the lunch period was over, Maya's quiet first day was about to turn into a nightmare she'd never forget. It started small, just whispers and side eyes from Brittany's table. A few giggles. A grape tossed across the room that rolled to Maya's feet. Nothing huge, but enough to make the cafeteria feel smaller by the second. Maya tried to focus on her food, pretending not to notice. But Brittany didn't like being ignored. She whispered something to Haley and Lena, then stood up, her heels clicking against the floor as she strutted toward Maya's table like she was walking a runway. "Hey, new girl," Brittany said, leaning on Maya's table. "You must be lost. That corner's for the weird kids." Maya stayed calm. "I'm fine here," she said softly. That simple sentence, calm, polite, was enough to make Brittany's smirk twist into something nastier. "Oh, you one of those quiet types, huh?" she said. "Let me help you fit in." Then she picked up Maya's juice box and squeezed it just enough to make it spill down her tray. Laughter rippled through the nearby tables. Maya took a slow breath. She didn't want to cause a scene. She grabbed a napkin and started wiping it up. But as she did, Brittany muttered something under her breath, and the girls behind her laughed again. And then it happened. Brittany pretended to trip as she turned around, but instead of falling, her knee shot up, smashing right into Maya's face. The sound of impact cut through the cafeteria. Maya's tray crashed to the floor. Her nose started bleeding instantly. For 2 seconds, there was silence. Then the laughter started. Phones came out. Some kids recorded. Others cheered. Brittany smiled like she'd just won a prize. But as Maya stood there, blood dripping down her face, she didn't cry. She just stared back, calm, steady, and furious. And in that moment, Brittany had no idea. She just picked a fight with the wrong person. What Brittany didn't know, what nobody knew, was that Maya Johnson was far from ordinary. She wasn't just the new girl. She was the daughter of 2 incredible parents. Her father, Major Robert Johnson, was a decorated U.S. Army instructor, known for training soldiers in discipline, strategy, and combat. Her mother, Dr. Renee Johnson, was a military psychologist who specialized in mental resilience and emotional control. Between the two of them, Maya had spent her entire life learning how to stay calm under pressure, how to read people, and how to protect herself if the situation demanded it. Maya had trained in martial arts since she was 8, spent summers at self-defense camps, and had endurance training that pushed her mind and body to the limit. She knew how to react in emergencies, how to defend herself, and, more importantly, how to remain composed while others lost their heads. But here's the key. Maya never showed off. She didn't pick fights. She didn't throw punches just to prove she was strong. She chose her battles carefully. She had discipline, patience, and a level of self-control that few her age possessed. And in that cafeteria, as Brittany laughed with her friends and waved her phone around like a trophy, Maya wiped the blood from her nose, took a deep breath, and made a conscious choice. She could have hit back, thrown Brittany to the ground, or unleashed everything she'd been trained to do. But she didn't. Instead, she stayed calm, collected, and she turned toward the principal's office. Because real strength isn't always about physical power. Sometimes it's about letting the truth, the consequences, and the right actions fight the battle for you. Maya had already decided that Brittany and her friends were about to learn that lesson the hard way. By the end of the day, the cafeteria incident had spread like wildfire. Phones were everywhere, videos circulating through social media, students whispering, and even local parents getting wind of it. Brittany and her friends thought they were untouchable. They were laughing, replaying the video, showing it to classmates, proud of the chaos they had caused. But what they didn't realize was that someone important had already seen it, Maya's mother. Dr. Renee Johnson. Within hours, the school received a call that changed everything. Dr. Johnson wasn't just upset. She was a military psychologist and a consultant for school safety programs. She knew the seriousness of bullying, and she wasn't going to let it slide. By morning, the principal had called an emergency meeting with the superintendent and the school board. And then there was Maya's father. Major Robert Johnson came to the school personally. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. Instead, he walked into the cafeteria with the footage of Brittany's attack on Maya. Calmly, he asked the staff, "Is this how Lincoln High protects its students?" The room went silent. Everyone understood. This wasn't just another cafeteria scuffle. This was bullying that had crossed the line. Brittany's father, a city councilman, tried to downplay the incident, but it didn't matter. The video was everywhere, and the truth was undeniable. The school had no choice. The 3 bullies were pulled from class immediately. Investigations were launched, and suspensions were issued. Mandatory anti-bullying seminars were scheduled. By the next day, the tables had completely turned. Brittany and her friends were no longer untouchable. They were the ones under scrutiny. And the quiet, composed, new girl, the one they thought they could humiliate, had already won the battle without throwing a single punch. Maya had shown everyone something far more powerful than aggression: discipline, intelligence, and restraint. And Brittany was about to learn just how dangerous it is to underestimate someone like her. A week later, Maya walked into the cafeteria again. The air felt different this time. Gone were the whispers of ridicule, replaced by cautious glances of respect. People weren't laughing at her anymore. They were noticing her, not just for surviving the attack, but for handling it with a level of calm and intelligence that left everyone impressed. Even some of the students who had laughed at her before came up to apologize. Their words were awkward, but genuine. For the first time, Maya realized that she wasn't just a new girl anymore. She was someone people looked up to, even if they weren't sure why at first. And Brittany? She and her friends were suspended and forced to attend anti-bullying seminars. They had to write formal apologies to Maya, and the news about their actions had spread across social media, making them the center of scrutiny instead of the school. Their power had evaporated in just a few days. But Maya never gloated. She didn't post on social media. She didn't brag to her classmates. She simply walked with her head high, knowing that the real victory had already been hers. A classmate asked her one day, "How did you stay so calm? Why didn't you just hit her back?" Maya smiled. "Strength isn't about fighting," she said quietly. "It's about knowing when to stand tall and let the truth handle the battle." That lesson hit everyone hard. People realized that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's quiet, measured, and unshakable. Maya had turned a moment of humiliation into a lesson about power, restraint, and respect. By graduation, Maya wasn't just the new girl. She was the one everyone remembered, the girl who faced cruelty, refused to stoop to their level, and still came out on top. And Brittany and her friends? They learned the hard way that underestimating someone like Maya was a mistake they'd never forget. Sometimes the quietest person in the room holds the most power, and Maya had just proven it. What would you have done if you were in Maya's shoes? Fought back or stayed calm like she did? This story is a reminder that real strength isn't always about throwing punches. Sometimes it's about staying composed, making smart choices, and letting the truth fight your battles for you. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping true stories that prove karma always finds its way back. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a story like this, because the next one could shock you even more.